Hello, hello, hello. My name is Tiara Nicole Riley. I'm a motivational speaker, five-time published author, and transitional life coach and owner of Rethinking Me, LLC, a life coaching firm. Today, we are continuing in our mental health series, and I thought it'd be important to talk about healthy relationships. Now, when I say relationships, in this context, I am speaking to all relationships, right? These are friendships, these are family relationships, these are parenting relationships, these are romantic relationships, these are professional relationships. Every kind of relationship that you have should be healthy. So, we're going to talk a little bit about how that applies to your mental health and all of the fun things. So, before we get started, if you are not already subscribed to this channel and you have found any of this information to be helpful, hit subscribe. Come on, somebody. Subscribe to the channel. If you are interested in continuing to understand ways to improve your mental health while we are on this mental health series, please hit subscribe and share the videos with someone that you think could benefit from the conversation. And then comment. I love hearing the comments, y'all. Like, don't let me feel like I'm talking to myself. Okay, please, please. I don't want to talk to myself. Anyways, so yes, we are talking about relationships, and I want to start by stating the obvious. All of your relationships should feel safe. I hate that I have to say that, but all relationships should feel safe. And I think a lot of times when we think about safety in relationships, we only attribute that to physical abuse or the lack thereof, right? And when the relationships that I'm listing, like as long as they aren't physically harming you, we presume that they're safe without recognizing that there's mental safety, there's emotional safety, there's financial safety, right? And things like manipulation and things like financial abuse, right? Like there's so many other realms to whether or not you feel safe in a relationship, right? One of the best determining factors that I have found has been listening to your nervous system. When you think about person, place, thing, activity, XYZ, when you think about XYZ, does it historically calm or trigger your nervous system? If you have a friendship with somebody and they are constantly triggering your nervous system, that is your body's way of telling you that that person is not good for you. That doesn't make them a bad person. That just means they are not good for you. Now, we talked earlier when we were talking about intentional parenting, we discussed the attachment theory and how we all have different attachment styles and how they interact with one another. I have had to realize that for me, I do not feel safe in relationship with people who have avoidant attachment styles. It is counterintuitive to what I need for me in my friendships. So I don't organically mesh with people who have avoidant attachment styles. It doesn't work for me. It sends my anxiety into a tailspin, right? And I remember realizing this at the tail end of 2022, and I had a friend that constantly triggered my nervous system, right? Like anytime there was even a sliver of tension, she would disappear. Disappear. I had to accept like this is not somebody that I can have an active friendship with. And that's okay. There doesn't have to be a fallout, there doesn't have to be beef, there doesn't have to be ill intent or desire. I just cannot participate in an active relationship with someone who has an avoidant attachment style. On the other side of that, I have a friend who does have an avoidant attachment style. And I said to her, I said, you cannot just disappear. I understand if you need space, I understand if you need time. Say that before you disappear because I'm thinking you're in harm's way and now my anxiety is spinning out of control. Whereas I would rather you just say, hey, I'm dealing with some stuff. Give me a couple days. I'll circle back. I'm not ready to talk about it. Just give me some time. I will respect that. I just need you to say it before you disappear. Because you disappearing is not good for me, because I care about you as a human. So if you go ghost and you go silent, my brain starts thinking about all the things that coulda, woulda, shoulda, woulda. Do I need to? It sends me in a tailspin, and I can't go down that road. And this friend honored that. Like, she literally, the next time something big happened in her life, she literally texted me like, "Hey, something's going on with XYZ. Give me a minute to deal with it, and I'll call you when I can." And I honored her need for space, right? So I'm not saying that anxious people can't have a relationship with avoidant people, but it takes intentionality on both parts. Being an anxious person, I had to communicate, this does not work for me in relationships. Being an avoidant person, she had to work to communicate, hey, I need to fall off the face of the earth for a couple of days and figure out what the hell is going on in my life. And since then, we've had no issues. And it's actually happened a couple of times where she's been able to say, like, hey, all hell's breaking loose for a second. Let me deal with it and I'll circle back. Do you see what I'm saying? And so I can appreciate those kind of relationships. So I'm not saying I can't have a relationship with people who are avoidant attachment style. I'm just saying I can't naturally and organically have a relationship with people who have an avoidant attachment style, specifically because it takes intentionality on both parts, right? And that both parts is key for me. Like my last romantic relationship, that was the root of our issue. I wanted to talk about it. He wanted to not talk about it. And we were triggering each other. Like our counterintuitive attachment style, we're actually triggering each other. Now, there was a lot else going on in that situation, but I'm not getting into it. Neither here nor there. The relationship is done. But at the end of the relationship, I actually was reading a book called Attached at the recommendation of my therapist. And it was through that book that I realized, like, oh, that was the real problem. Like, at its core, that was our real problem. And so I have realized that relationships that work best for me are relationships with people who are also anxious attachment style and or secure attached. Again, it's not that I cannot have a relationship with avoidant people. It just takes intentionality on both parts. And I have another friend that's been around for years, and she is avoidant attachment style, but and that has caused our relationship to ebb and flow over the years. But as of late, like there's been intentionality on both parts to say like, okay, and it's about communication and it's about effort, right? And just deciding that the friendship is worth that effort, I think is what makes the difference. The relationships with people that I've had to let go, or the friendships that I've had to let go of as well, were really like, if I'm telling you what I need as a friend and you're claiming to be my friend, and I'm saying that this behavior doesn't work well for me, and you make zero effort to correct that or to at least handle our relationship differently, I have to read the writing on the wall. And another thing that I started asking myself in 2022 was, do I feel wanted and loved, or do I feel tolerated? And that's in any kind of relationship. Do I feel loved, appreciated, wanted, valued, or do I feel tolerated? And if I feel tolerated, you gotta go. That's just it. That's just it. But one thing that I am mindful of, particularly as I'm interacting with my daughter, is like modeling healthy relationships and showing her what friendship looks like, showing her what love looks like, showing her not only with me, but allowing her to see me interact with my friends, allowing her to see me model healthy relationships. I definitely think it's something I'm working to be intentional about. So, this video is a little short and sweet. Get to the point. Have healthy relationships. And if you don't have the courage to walk away, and don't just run away, right? But I think also evaluating, if you have actively worked to make this work and it doesn't work, then at some point you have to accept that it's not going to work. So find that fine line between fight and flight, right? Like, you shouldn't have to work too hard in a friendship or relationship of any kind. And if you do find yourself constantly having to do emotional labor in order to maintain a relationship with somebody, maybe that's a sign that you shouldn't be maintaining that relationship with them. But on the other side, if you are constantly running from relationships with people, friendship, family, romantic, whatever, maybe you should fight a little bit more. So be honest with yourself and like I'm pro flight. Like although I have an anxious attachment style, I will leave a situation that does not serve me in a heartbeat. My therapist said it the other week. She was like, listen, if there's one thing you'll do is quit a job. And I ain't never seen it not work out for you. And I was like, I know, right? That's the problem. Like, I'd be leaving these jobs and it'd be working out. And then I'd be like, well, I can just leave this job. Problem solved. But because I know that I'm pro flight, I actively work to fight a little bit more. But then also not too much. Not too much. So that, I'm not being taken advantage of, but finding that balance in the middle somewhere. So, anyways, healthy relationships, all 2024. Let's get into it. Okay? Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Hey. Anyways, y'all, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Every video will drop on Monday mornings, but hit that bell so you're the first one to know when a video has aired. Thanks, guys.